Welcome back, friends, to VCT Game Changers, where we got to see Disguise take one step closer to qualifying for our main event. And good news for Disguise fans, we're following them again, as next up they're going to be taking on Evil Geniuses. Vans, we get the full story here.
I'm just ready for more shenanigans. This is going to be great. This is going to be so good now, actually, between DSG and Evil Geniuses. Actually, I don't want to take anything away from FlyQuest, but EG is also another team that has amazing firepower in this roster. So if we already had a great taste of that previous series with DSG and FlyQuest, I think this one is potentially going to be another 3-map banger.
Also, a similar story in terms of FlyQuest and Evil Geniuses as the opponents to DSG, remembering that maybe you look at this name, maybe you don't really recognize it right away, and then you realize that it's actually, last year Dignitas, you got Sholiana, you have Kinsey, you have all these players as well that you know for the scene that actually made it really far into these game changer tournaments facing against DSG. So another challenge for our newer team.
100%. Disguise, they're not going to have an easy run. They want to make it into the main event. So it'll be so fun to watch. With Evil Geniuses now, Van, they made a really good run in last Game Changers, and already they did so well in their game before this to make it to this point.
Yeah, I think just in general for Evil Geniuses, they've been on a nice little heavy grind that, Mel and everybody else back in the Cloud9 White days were always saying, like, how come we don't have that many teams just playing in whatever possible? And when you're looking at the past history of all the matches of Evil Geniuses, it's gone from Game Changer Series to Game Changer Series 1 to like Sakura Cup to Astral to even a Complexity Paradox, just trying to get some reps in with this new roster ever since Kinsey came in with Power Pixel, and then been on the up and up ever since with the coaching staff that they currently have with Jovi.
Especially, too, you're talking about a couple of the firepower this team has. Power Pixel is not ever disappointed here, Dan. I mean, this initiator is just absolutely cracked. So being able to see them play today, I am excited for this, especially too with some of these stats.
The assists and the support that Power Pixel gives to their team is just absolutely insane, and has been always this way, but it feels like everybody on this Game Changer is just trying to get to a new peak, to get even higher, and that is what Evil Geniuses has been able to do so far, both in the first match and the one that they just had to move forward and to face DSG now. So I'm excited to see how Power Pixel is going to be playing out. I think we can absolutely make that comparison for those assists and that support that we saw on the other side just now by DSG and by Lazy Lion, specifically playing that initiator role in a lot of cases and giving that support, so that clash between the two to see how things are going to go.
Especially, too, in the interview that just had with Hannah, she spoke about the talent that this team has and these people stepping up. Lazy Lion, of course, being one of them. So it's really exciting to see this guys come together and the individual players stepping up here at this point. And Lazy Lion was great in the series. We got to see some fantastic Sova gameplay out of that last game. So when we're looking at Initiator v Initiator here, Vans, of course, talking a little bit more about Lazy Lion is key.
Yeah, I agree. Because if you're looking at the first map, it was all about Katarina and Unstable because they were playing double duelists pretty much on split. But when you're trying to work the map a little bit more, and on a map like Haven, for example, Lazy Lion not only was a great initiator, find the late information on the late hits, but also had some great moments too to not necessarily, yes, they did clutch, but just playing those off angles and those 1-2 anchors on that A site, and even putting some great impact kills that allowed DSG to really push it to the limit. If not, I mean, like I said, there was a lot of shenanigans and clutches that happened that came out from both of these teams. And if it wasn't for these initial hits that are coming out from Lazy Lion and initial kills, this would have been, again, another storyline where, FlyQuest would have edged it out on that first map on Split and even on the third map on Haven.
Let's focus a little bit more on the shenanigans that these teams can bring out, because I feel like when we talk about shenanigans, I feel like we look right to the duelists and whatever they're up to. So we did speak about Katarina in that first series, and despite the fact that she's not feeling well, feel better soon, Katarina, by the way, is still putting up a hell of a fight, taking down a cracked duelist in Dono Nut. Now, the fight doesn't end there, because she's going up against another crack duelist here, Dan, in Kinsey, who just Game Changer in general has just been incredible.
The journey for Kinsey has been one that, if you've been following Game Changers, you know about this player. Kinsey has been insane. Game changers after game changers, no matter who's she's supporting, what role she's locked into, or they're locked into, excuse me. So I'm excited to see how Kinsey is gonna play out today against Katarina. Both seem to be the main duelist, right? And DSG, they get a little silly sometimes. They give that duelist role to somebody else, but it seems like Katarina is the one that you see the most consistently on the duelist role, supported by somebody else. Kinsey is a little bit more of the consistency, and it's a team that I've been wanting to see for a long time. Like Van said, Jovi supporting the team, being the coach, and really this is a guy that in the coaching staff, he's like super passionate. He's gonna care about the team a lot. He's gonna take them to success as he's done for other teams. So I want to see how this is shaping up against those up and coming teams like DSG.
Yeah, and especially when, you know, we talk about shenanigans, but we're kind of downplaying in terms of like the movements, right? I don't know if you remember the satchels from Katarina on that first series against FlyQuest on Split, where she was just able to double satchel and just fly around the map. That's something that Kinsey also able to do very, very well. If you remember the first games that Kinsey came out with the X-Set roster, and their first map was Pearl, well, Kinsey was a double satchel from A-Long, making her way already towards the back with a Judge to get kills. Not only that, they're also a player that really steps up to play as a Jet role too. So when you're looking pound for pound in terms of a head-to-head between these two players, there's not really one player that's like better on Jet than they are on Raze. They're both very good on those on both of those agents, and they don't edge each other out. I find that they're both really even in terms of that skill set as that duelist role, the main duelist role that Dan Dry was talking about.
100%. And seeing the duelists when they do flex to that role and seeing how they perform, it's fantastic, especially sometimes they need to with the maps coming out. Speaking of which, thanks production. We get to see where we're headed for this series. Start things off, it'll be Fracture picked up for DSG with, of course, Pearl banned out. Not really too surprised on that one there. And I'm really excited to see Fracture, Dan, because honestly, last time they played it, Disguise, they 13-0'd their opponent. And we also got to see some of the wackiest picks because they're having a time. They're doing them.
I don't know what you mean by wackiest, because the Reyna was amazing. The Reyna was great. The Reyna showed up on Fracture, and they had a lot of post plans where that Reyna Flash was getting that extra support for the squad to make sure that the rounds will close out their way. We saw that towards that A side quite a lot. Again, I feel like, though, this can be one of those cases where we see something on week 1 where they get a 13-0 and then they change the composition just a little bit like they did earlier on Pearl. So there is a possibility, but I think it's still going to be that double duelist, right, coming through for DSG. And I want to see how Evil Geniuses is able to match this firepower and this explosiveness that the side of DSG has.
That's my thing exactly, because I don't think we've seen Evil Geniuses play Fracture since like Astral Clash of 2022. And if you want to remember when that was played, that was like August of last year. So outside of that, or it was a map that was always banned by Evil Geniuses, or maybe just by pure luck, they just want to float it, but no other team really wants to play it. So this time around, I want to know what Jovi, I mean, now you have pretty much a full year to have worked through Fracture and seen so many gameplays and so many different metas to understand what works best for the type of composition and also the type of playstyle that your team currently has. And I could think that I could see some crazy things like a Silva, for example, from Sholiana, because you have Jovi that's been the lineup maker for 100 Thieves with Eco. Exactly. And also the lineup maker for EG as well. And Sholiana has always been very cracked on that Silva. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see some EG stuff on top of that, because Calm is a god on that agent on that map too.
I love the fact too that we get Fracture as this first map, knowing that from each team we're not really sure what we're gonna see, and it's just a bunch of speculation of what this could be, what we really could see here. But Dan, when we're looking at the series, DSG coming off of a difficult opponent in FlyQuest, now going up against Evil Geniuses, this is their map pick. So this is one that no matter what they want to be pulling out, it has to be good.
It has to be good, and I feel like it's going to be great for both of the teams as we get to go into the agent select. We talked about the double duelist, maybe seeing it, maybe changing that Reyna. They are changing the Reyna. They're still bringing out the double duelist for DSG. That Jet and that Raze will be that play. And for Evil Geniuses, just bringing out that Raze instead.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily surprised to see that we're not going to see the Reyna shenanigans over on Disguise sides. And I'm going to let you mourn on that a little bit, Dan, is I'm going to head out here, enjoy what should be an amazing game one between these teams.
Thank you so much here. And yes, indeed, poor Sierra, but thank you, Sierra. Not poor Sierra, so I was listening to my ears. Poor Sierra, at least for the Storm, but thank you at least for hosting for us here on the second series. Evil Geniuses versus Disguise. Game changers as we're starting things off on fresh, and indeed no shenanigans coming out, but this Cypher still comes out for DSG. So I like it. You're switching things around here for Unstable to play more in a duelist role, and to have a Cypher could still bring a lot of good input for a roster right here. But interesting enough, you're playing with a single initiator with no scans.
This is interesting because we see that composition change. And the roles, if anything, changed just a little bit for DSG, where Unstable Day 1 was playing that safe Cypher. And we talked about the flexibility of this squad and of Unstable specifically, playing basically everything and anything you can imagine so far in the game changers in the 4 matches that they've had. But now bringing back something that we got to see today early on, the Katarina on the Raze, Unstable on the Jet. And the question is how they're going to gather that info, how they're going to be looking for that space. Choliana, though, on the other side is going to be holding that Sky. So that is something the defense is going to be having very early on.
Start things off here, definitely, as DSG are looking for that pressure. It's a trap play, but it's cleared by Unstable to start things off. But Kinsey's still there for the support. Trade for trade, blow for blow, rather. We're at a 3 versus 3. Guided Light coming out on the defense, and that's going to get held back just by a bit as Hannah drops her first cage down by the doors. And even DSG is looking to pull back towards B.
Very quiet for the 3v3. The Guiding Light is not going to spot anybody. There was A-holes as well, so information is there that they killed you util heavy on this first round versus B side, the turret. The alarm bot as well. The nanoswarms, if anything. Therefore, the contact with about 35 seconds remaining.
Yeah. And that's good here. Just a little tap first. Alarm bot. A little bit of a delay, but it doesn't really matter. The smoke's coming down from me, so it's 20 seconds, so you could wait off the nanoswarm and go for a plant. Stephanie looking for her timing here through the smoke. Swings out. Got a little bit of a stun coming across, but still DSG. They get the first blood on the attempt of a retake from Evil Geniuses until Sholiana moves in. Going around the boxes here at the dice. There's support as well from Misu. Hannah gets the last pick, and DSG get the pistol.
And the smoke there was everything to make sure the one player holding towards B, that Killjoy, was gonna have to wait for the timing, try to catch the timing at that point, as we see Misu expecting it. Making the numbers go the way of DSG and being able to be closed out the way of DSG. So first round here, first pistol for the attacking side, looking to play this 4-1 that Cypher early on towards the north part of this map.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the Cypher on the north part of the map, DSG can play however they want. That's the beauty of having the Cypher in your composition. And lately, when you're watching a map like Fracture, there's been more and more of these north side crunches, south side crunches, aggression actually on triple on tree, and you're just working quadrants instead. So you're starting to figure out how you want to break the utility very early from the attacker's side so that you can initiate, hopefully, some later flanks throughout the round. But this time around, when you have the lower buy from EG, it's stacked up all across the A site, trying to play a contact off the turret. And Power Pixel's the one that's going to try to find information towards this B site. So DSG's looking at a pretty decent spot, and Sable's looking for a timing for the dash. Once they finally realize here that the B site is open, just hold your angles down.
Right there.
That Cypher as well is going to be great for that information. And this map can be very chaotic, and with this composition, you're looking actively for what kind of information you can get. the crunches potentially coming through in the north part of the map, or even the Cypher having to back up there. Those are so many options that DSG can implement into it.
And that's the beauty of it too, right? As we have this retake attempt from EG, a couple of ghosts and Sheriff, so there is a little bit of investment now for Evil Geniuses, especially Kinsey. They have small shields with it. So trying to do some early damage, saving maybe even a Sheriff, and the small shield could be the play for Evil Geniuses. But now, looking at it in the end, they're going to die with the spike as well. But just to continue on that chess match of this Sentinel player for DSG, or just having a Sentinel overall, trying to fight through and adding more and more pressure would then mean that the Sentinel will want to have somebody else to support them as well. And that's where the mind games usually happen here, Dan, where you could start working more quarter extremities than double pinches.
Yeah, and even speaking about the Sentinels here, we talked about the Cypher, but also the Killjoy is one that I really like to see. Because of the chances, right? You're gonna have a Killjoy sometimes holding this B side quite a lot with this heavy util, and a lot of times you see the Killjoy plays coming through from tower, holding it down and holding this site down, being that strong holder, if anything. So that's gonna be potentially that job that we might see from Stephanie. Sometimes, like this round, getting that extra support for Power Pixel, for those flashes, for those swings, but that's not where the plan is for DSG.
Yeah, main execution, but for EG, they want to pressure out towards the A main, so you don't have any lineup potentials on the post line, and already saturating across, nice bolt line on top of that. That is already going to be both players playing on the A ramp dead. And now DSG have to play a post plant, 3 players inside the halls. They want to fight this back. But it's all 5 players of EG getting ready to flood back into A main. Big flash now turned away by Unstable. A spray through the boxes doing a little bit of damage here for the players behind the boxes, and there you go. Too many players, too much for the flood. It's a tsunami pretty much towards the A ramp, and EG get their first gun round.
It was all 5 players, and the plan there was just to bait for Unstable in that corner.
Love explosions.
To try to enable Unstable to just get a couple of those picks, but at that point, yeah, everybody coming right in, flooding that side and getting that spike defused. That's going to be the first round here for EG. On that defensive side, taking that retake. And this is when things start to change up just a little bit for the attacking side. We've seen that Cypher go once again towards the north part of the map every single time. Now you have that extra support. Now you have Unstable here as well.
And they're looking for at least some sort of... I'm trying to think of some sort of fake. Adding that pressure, having Unstable far behind. Ooh, but the satchels. We mentioned those satchels for Kinsey to look out for, right? Bringing out this raise on Fracture. Having to face against a double duelist from DSG. So that means less utility to get information for a hit into sight for DSG. So you have to be on point now with your second duelist being Katarina.
And expecting exactly that was Kinsey. He was able to shut it down right away. Katarina good for 1 though. Gets straight to 2. A 3v4.
Yeah.
The spike still gets planted.
And Kinsey off this kill if they get it, but turns away it a little bit too late. Only 1 player left alive. It's Misu. A lineup quite quick. That's going to waste the clock down a little bit more. Smokes dissipates from the defender side. So a great opportunity here for Misu to play the 2v1. Heard the footsteps indeed as the spike has been planted, or diffused rather, halfway. Big flash avoided. Misu still playing this close. And now the wide swing. The headshot up to Power Pixel. Back to a 1 versus 1. And Stephanie has no HP but gets a long range classic kill for the defuse and a tie game for EG.
Both so low, 109 HP, 122, but Stephanie gets the kill at the end, and with 22 HP is able to secure that round. That second one this time around for EG, as again we saw early on, the play changes a little bit for the attacking side, and yet Kinsey just shuts it down right away, gives no chance for that Jet player early on. And I feel like this is how the map and the half can turn out to be. An uncomfortable buy for DSG, a rifle. Only for Unstable, Rolling Thunder as well, looking for a kill with a showstopper.
Whoa! Right behind. Katarina somehow stunned and still has quick enough boots to avoid the showstopper. There's that Rolling Thunder coming out, attacking through, pushing across. Lazy Lion gets the pick off with the Power Pixel, and somehow the advantage goes back to DSG with the lower buy.
And the plan was clear from the beginning for this attacking side. Katarina, 4 HP. Both of the duelists barely alive, but getting those 2 opening picks, massive for DSG to work around. And EG, with those 2, end up backing up just a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely the silver lining here for EG. 2 players being very low, both of the duelists trying to get the entries, and even the Vandal that's salvaged by Unstable is at low HP, so he might not get too much value. But that said, as DSG is trying to work towards the A site, Stephanie and the rest of EG are playing this passively, and the turret gets the pick out to Katarina. I'm sorry, it was actually a 4 versus 4. But now you have the orbitals trying to come out, pushing out the defenders out towards the spawn, allowing Misu to cross over and to get the plant.
Spike planted.
The turret just way too strong with Katarina and 4 HP, but Spike still planted. 4v3. It's advantage here for EG.
Here.
Still a crossfire setup playing inside the site. Now the Molly giving the position away here of Misu, deep inside and tucked in. But Unstable was the one that's trying to support, gets wallbanged by Sholiana. Attempt of a delay. Aftershock coming out here from Lazy Lion. But now it's the weaponry. Low, a tap on the spike, a fault line, the swing across. Sholiana with 4 kills in the round allows EG to salvage it back and regain the lead. Actually take the lead for the first time on Fracture.
Bot coming back.
Take the lead 3-2, and Sholiana being a massive part of it. DSG holding on to as they get that spike planted. Holding into the postman position with all that util. We see the Cypher as well, all across. Trying to be a bother, but yet it gets shot down. Also, I mean, that orbital strike got forced just to get that space into side very early on. And that was one of the tools that they would have liked to keep for a little bit longer, but the time was just not on the side of DSG. So EG taking the lead here, having a lockdown now. Being 1 away for that Rolling Thunder. Having 3 players on this B site.
Yeah. And in positions too.
My ult's ready.
Our Power Pixel and Stephanie to leverage this utility, the ultimates. And if Power Pixel gets a kill, that's a showstopper to deny the B side push. There's that util coming out, fault line, a flash, a peek. But no enemy spotted. Oh, full blind. Kinsey just got hit by a flash. Couldn't get the kill there. Onto Unstable, trying to move forward inside B. Now at the top of the staircase. Headshot by Stephanie. And we're anchoring down towards this B site for EG. Anchoring, trying to fight back our DSG though. But the action comes down just for a bit towards this B site. EG currently rotating back from the spawn out towards the B site. DSG moving forward, trying to play the contact.
Here.
Flash does get a bit of information right now as Sholiana pings it around the corner. There's that swing out. Stephanie does get that second pick. Pinch from behind, fault line from the top. Unstable does get the kill, but they still remain as the last person remaining in this B site. Spike is down, swing up through the smoke. And EG are starting to run away with this first half, Dan.
Yeah, securing 4 rounds already. And those 4 that have been in a row. This is exactly what I wanted to see though, Stephanie. The way that she's anchoring this site towards tower. The util is already so annoying to deal with. Yes, you have those 2 duelists, but both of them can and usually do take some damage from those nanoswarms towards the B side. The double satchel sometimes is not enough, and you're satcheling right into somebody holding tower, taking you down. The jet is going to be about the same. So you see the value that Stephanie is able to bring very early on. 7-2 and a timeout from that coming through for DSG.
Yeah. And you definitely see from the game plan from DSG's side, Lazy Lion's going to follow one of them, right? Or Katarina or Unstable to activate one another if they're trying to go for some sort of like a default, if I want to say, to create some space. If it's not for both duelists spiraling through and opening things up, it's going to be Unstable and Katarina to work a portion of the map on solo, which then means you have to be on point on your shots. We know they could do it, but so far it's been really EG's run in this defensive half ever since they got their money right. And off this timeout, we're also wondering if you want to activate around the Showstopper and the Bladestorm. And my And seeing this half buy right now with Stingers on top of that would potentially indicate now that they do want to maybe start using a little bit of these ults.
A plan that we've seen before, especially when Katarina has his ultimate.
Yep. There's the first, satcheling away, a contact across. But still waiting on the timing here for DSG. Trying to see if EG wants to fight back into this rather. But they hold back the spawn instead.
Everybody in the spawn for the defense. Everybody of EG waiting here from that info. Katarina satchels in. Doesn't use the showstopper just yet though.
There's a Rolling Thunder on defense, all used for one single person inside Sands. And a showstopper comes out and somehow stunned. Unstable still gets a pick. Now finally fully blinded, picked off by Sholiana. But the spike's been planted. A lockdown comes out for the defensive side, but it's still the advantage for the attack. Stephanie and Sholiana on a 3 versus 2. Only Sheriff's available now for DSG. Thankfully, Sholiana has a heal. The regrowth now for Stephanie. Rifles long range. A fault line getting ready on the tap.
I know exactly where.
And now it does get hit. The hat comes out. Last 2 players are now spotted. Turret to try to watch. And now as it gets stuck, there's that first fight. And Sholiana's gonna have to watch that cross. It's halfway. A second headshot. Stephanie swings out for the other one. And EG salvages the round at a disadvantage on DSG.
Again, EG does it. And there's no way, right? You see the advantage, you see the first kill for Unstable with the Blaze Storm, Katarina finding a pick with a showstopper, the flooding into that A side, the spike planted, you think it's gonna go their way, and yet for these retakes, EG is simply too clean. Guaranteeing that the half of that spike as it gets diffused and then swinging for that last one. Taking advantage of the players, like you said, right? Only having those sheriffs to work with.
Yeah. And they made it expensive at least. An opportunity now for DSG to break the economy, chip it away little by little now as EG still has another full buy this time around.
Any changes here? The Killjoy util that we've seen towards that B side every single time. Now it's positioned on A. A little bit of control, a little bit of contesting. As DSG got flashed, got out of that situation on Arcade. And they spot some Killjoy util, they go all the way back. Towards Arcade, seems like this is where they want to play. One away from the Rolling Thunder is Lazy Lion. Yeah, and guarantee the ultimate.
And for health.
And have it available for sight.
Exactly. All the way towards heaven, but nice counter actually. Brimstone ult, but somehow through the orbital strike, Unstable gets the opening kill. DSG now scaling into the B site. And Katarina gets a lurk kill. We talked about that, right, Dan? The lurks that you have from the duelists in the areas. If it's not Unstable, it's going to be Katarina. And now we're getting kills through smokes, a spike pine that comes down, and a lineup as well, ready for Misu.
The 2v4, but AG has been able to turn these numbers around, especially with Stephanie, especially with Kinsey, has been doing this constantly. Hannah, though, is gonna spot where Stephanie is, get stagged.
What a nerdy cam.
Remove it, but time is running out.
What a nerdy cam. They're putting it behind their leaves so they can never get spotted. My apologies too. I realized that Unstable actually scaled up from the front of the B site to get the pick there after the orbital strike came through. So a nice little pinch that was happening across, but solo plays no matter what from your duelists, not only on B main, but also on that drop. And DSG are able to work that map quite well with, despite double duelists and only one initiator.
So far, trying to make this work though.
Still working?
This is the first round that we see from DSG after that early pistol that came through. So finding an answer, we saw the timeouts, we see how the positionings early into these rounds are gonna look like, right? And there's been many different versions of it. EG also trying to get a read on it, but this Killjoy util where the Killjoy is gonna be positioned where the setup is going to be, and they want to play aggressive actually, this defense.
And that's what we talked about before. If needed be, the double satchel on top of the boxes, but actually the smoke's a lot closer than it's supposed to be to allow for the satchels to come through. So we're just looking for some sort of play, maybe a flash of the smoke. Meanwhile though, DSG are still working towards the A side of the map.
Bomb buddy out.
They can be completely surrounded. Those 3 players that see towards A main. As they back up, they realize
Oh, the
there's a
pinch.
chance here.
Seekers, a flash, a trade-off, but here comes the flank from the end. Somehow still hit. Thankfully, there's teammates that opens these trips rather. And EG, they had the successful pinch.
Kinda unstable. They went all the way from arcade to the B side. Now back to spawn.
One enemy remaining.
They try to get this, and Hannah gets shot down. Power Pixel too strong for it. Get 4-2, and EG once again they take the round. That's insane. But everybody kind of moving to the right side, going counterclockwise throughout the map. Trying to get some value off of it, but once again it's EG who comes up close. We saw the aggression that they wanted to bring, and they didn't see it right away. That didn't matter. It was them looking for the opportunity as the players were making contact on that A side.
And you highlighted this player when we were on the desk here, Dan. Power Pixels, off-angle plays, crits on the shot, but 8 assists as a breach too. Within the
everything.
Within the 9 rounds on defense that they played, a key pivotal player so far, allowing EG to get the scoreline that they have currently.
And a couple of ultimates that should be coming through here for DSG, as this is an important buy for them. Trying to make this one hold on to the next round. Cholina's gonna spot.
A lot.
Yeah, a couple of them up close. They know where this is coming from. A couple of rotations get called. And that's initially what DSG wanted, cutting out noise. Going back to this ace side, but again, I mean, guess who's there? It's gonna be Kinsey right on site.
There was also
One away from the showstopper.
Yeah, there was also a flash used by Sholiana after that. Not pinging anybody, so they know now the hit is coming towards the A site. Orbital strike doesn't do any damage. Now a molly and pain shells behind the smoke's gonna slow things down a lot more. Forcing now DSG to rush for Sands. Sempati's playing the off angle. The crossfire is beautiful now for both of those players until Katarina answers back. A 1-for-1 there in the end. That's won by Power Pixel and allows EG to still win not only that 1 versus 1 duel in Sands, but the whole round itself.
30 seconds left.
The whole round that you see coming through at the very end.
No one be
Of the fight, and a DSG that gets some information. They go all the way towards A main, towards A halls, and Kinsey was the only one up close, was able to create that delay with the paint shells. The smoke was there as well. Incendiary. All those tools that AEG has been implementing into these rounds, taking advantage of the time that gets consumed by TSG.
Yeah. And DSG now, unfortunately, on a half buy, a smaller buy. Looking to play the contact. Sholiana was actually spotted at the top there, towards the spawn. As they hear the satchels moving up on the other side, if you're in the point of view of EG. Identify now a slow split from DSG towards the front of the site. Meanwhile, off screen, you saw a headshot, Thea falling down. You're waiting for a timing here for Hannah to flank across. Showstopper out from Kinsey, connects onto Unstable though. And now the plant goes down. Aftershock was a little bit far off. It was planted at the default spot.
One enemy remaining.
Not an opportunity though for Misu to fall back and actually get the post plant lineup. A huge retake by EG, not allowing DSG to set up, but at least on the lower buy for DSG, they got the plant.
That has been the story though so far for EG and DSG.
Last round
It's
before the switch.
a DSG that tries to get some space, tries to get into these post spawns with the util, yet they're never able to. The plan for DSG was good, right? They leave Hannah on that A side, try to catch her timing, trying to get that read onto when Stephanie was gonna make that rotation towards that B side. But everybody getting taken down, and once again, Evil Genius is being so quick for this reaction. 1 round left, a couple ultimates. Maybe more aggressive here for DSG is the chance. Guiding light early on towards B main.
Same thing. But this time there's no counter utility coming out. No aftershock from Lazy Lion. DSG just want to walk back, and because of that, look at that. Sholiana's not using that second flash. So it allows a creep up here from DSG towards that B main. EG reading that it's potentially, once again, another one of those pivots back towards the A site.
This is massive as well. Carolina trying to make sure that nobody's up close. Might meet up. The EG is still not so sure.
Wait a minute. Trying to force a rotate across, and with the timing, unfortunately, Mizu gets spotted by Stephanie. And with 50 seconds left on the clock, that's a smoke down. So there's no smokes opportunity for DSG to hit the site, so you have to use ultimates this time around. Showstopper long range connects onto Thea. A 4 versus 4, Katarina is also down to 11 HP. Seekers available, now already being used on the defense for the retake. A lockdown also available here for Stephanie. Aftershock cleared everything out. A shot from Power Pixel, dropping Katarina. And here comes the lockdown. A positioning now to push the attackers outside of the B site and scaling back our EG. First contact now, a crossfire set of flashes to push them away. And just staying on the outside of the radius, a dink through the boxes, a double swing out. Stephanie with the swing back with a double kill, 3 into the round. Back into the last play remaining, will not work out. EG continues to be clean on their retakes, and they take the first half, 9-3.
A massive lead on the defensive side with a clear understanding for EG to how these retakes were gonna look like every single time. It was a DSG with a false sense of confidence on taking those sides, getting that spike planted, and every single time it just gets diffused. The retake is so clean for EG. Massive for Stephanie to be stepping up like this. 14-4 just on the first half. And shutting down any possibility of the aggression and the explosive factor that could have been DSG with this comp.
Yeah. And this is what I'm afraid of now that EG takes the second half. They're playing double initiator too, where you potentially now play against a double duelist that have to play forward aggression for the Raze and also the Jet. Those flashes could do a lot. We'll talk about that when the time comes. Pistol round is already underway with EG looking to get some pushes into the B side. A nice little trap play by Hannah.
Headshot.
And a second one there onto Sholiana. Oh, they are here to play. Hannah with 3 kills, looking for the 4th, but canceled right away by Stephanie. Elisa's spike is down, and an opportunity for DSG, all ready to rotate towards B.
4v2 Stephanie and Thea both took some damage. Should be the round at this point for DSG, and this something to say about it. 75 HP. They know exactly where she is positioned towards tower.
Not much you can do with that. Molly to try to at least split the push. And Elisa post-mortem kill, but the round still comes in for DSG.
The round coming through for DSG, getting the 4th one on this map. The second match that both of the teams are having in the day. So
1 enemy remaining.
Seeing how these long matches end up playing out in the long run for DSG. Trying to make a comeback into this map, a map
This should do.
they decided to bring. They changed the composition, no longer playing with the Reyna, playing instead with the double duelist. And with that Cypher, and the Cypher was great too.
The Cypher trap was actually beautiful, what Hannah set up there towards that B site. I think it has the same thing as you could see on that radar. Katarina just spotted the dome of someone through the smoke, and that was Kinsey just trying to move across. Pain shells to push him away. Even pain shells to connect to the feet of Kinsey. The lineup now for Power Pixel. Nice share shot. Misu falls, and the second player anchoring there is low on HP. That's Katarina. And slowly but surely, EG working that map. Hearing a couple of rotates heading towards the spawn. But it's also unstable, faking it out. Walking back towards the B side. And that's where EG is still looking to commit to.
Yeah, some of this util getting broken. Not all of it though. And as the time runs out, that can be the key. As a plan here for TSG is actually expecting the hit to come through towards this A site. EG, they're going to capitalize from this.
Yeah. Hannah won't have any cues to pull out the cages except on full contact. And there it is. As she rotates off, gets spotted here. And Parapixel has seen that lineup already before when
Spike planted.
their teammate got caught in it before. So breaks the trap instantly, and it's now post plant for EG.
That's the thing about Cypher. A lot of the util can become really predictable, right? So you need to be coming up with those different ideas, how you want to implement it to catch at least one of these players off guard.
Unfortunately here, there's just too much utility. Too many players playing down towards Long B. Even a late lurk from Stephanie gets saved by Unstable, but still not enough. Too many players in the front of that B site. Parapixel again, another Shira kill. Unstable falls in EG. Well, they win now, a thrifty.
Big for this second half. Each one getting their own, but it benefits so much more this side of EG is. They want to have this convincing win on the map of Fracture. Move into their own pick of Ascent, and they're only three rounds away from making it happen. A DSG that have some ideas, but it seems like it is an evil geniuses that is simply playing their own game. And this guy that is trying to adapt to this, trying to catch them off guard, and the timing isn't quite the best. This isn't the rival that they had to face before, for the 4 matches that they had. So it's a completely different story, a new territory for DSG that they're trying to find some space in.
And they tried, right? The first time when they played the Open Qualifier, we saw some Reynas. We saw Unstable playing a Cypher. So despite not having any maps or any matches being streamed of this map, you still wanted to throw off your opposition, your opponents, on choosing a wacky comp. But that said, EG, they haven't played this map since last year. So you're both walking into certain uncertainties, rather. You're walking into the darkness head-to-head. And you're hoping that the double duelist and the aim is going to be as cracked here for Unstable and Katarina. But just remember, they played a BO3 with 2 of them went into double overtime.
Yeah.
And somehow, actually, the ties have turned. It's a 4 versus 2 situation with the Spike planted. And Kinsey has to hold it in the sight. Good enough here for these two. Make that even a third. And now finally you end that. There was a moment there for DSG, but at least it done the damage.
There was a moment, but like you said, I think that is something that could play out for DSG and for this map. This is a map where DSG changes their composition. They bring something that's a little bit new for the most part, and also they come from a long series. EG, we took their win today a little more dominantly when we got to see, or when they were playing out the first match. They had the time to rest, they had the time to look at DSG, maybe look at ways to shut down the 2 star players of Katarina and Unstable.
And it's quick.
Ooh.
Trying to use and leverage the opportunity of playing the raise in your composition for EG gets instantly denied. And this is what you want to see here from this comp. Yeah, an operator coming out from Unstable. Raze holding one end of the map, and Unstable with that operator. The solo play, nice pick on the Thea. A 2-player advantage, and the Spike Pine attempted deep in the site, so you had to play it passively. There's no lineups available, and Unstable doesn't care about the Nano Swarm. Flash then coming out, Cloudburst holding it with the shorty.
1 enemy remaining.
Shots are coming through, and Hannah's good enough for the long-range kill. And even on top of that, there's no plans available for EG. DSG getting their money right, and they're finally starting to come out to play.
The solo plays for Unstable with this operator.
Blinded.
Trying to make the difference. Showdown attempting to do the same, but no, it's Unstable shutting it down. 3 kills for the Jet. And it's DSG that gives some signs of life on this map, on this second half. See how far they can take it. But it does feel very similar to what we saw on Split when DSG was playing just earlier today, where there's some ideas with the operator, there's some changes that come through, the positioning for you for the defensive side changes. But is it too late? Is it enough for them to adapt just in time? Because EG still has so many rounds of a margin to work around.
I've Got your
But the
track.
sacks
orbital
continue to be
strikes and
perfect, though.
seekers.
Yeah, the orbital strike is ready. But always the sacks are good for DSG, but unfortunately not the weapons. The duels are lost. EG swarms over the site. Hannah has to come up huge, but unfortunately also she is not able to hold it through.
And a 2v5 operator for Unstable, still having the Blade Storm, but seems like this is another one of those rounds for EG, and that's why I was questioning it, right? The idea changes, they have a different plan, but EG still always seems to be coming up on top on these big rounds, on the swing rounds that can give some space for DSG. They're being denied over and over again, and they're not needing, you know, these post-plan setups that we know they have. EG just have been saving them. The orbital strike continues to be available. The ultimates are going to continue to come through for them, and this is already in round number 12 for EG.
Yeah. At this point, when you have the perfect stack, I feel that you still have to bring that aggression out from those players that's not opping. If you're not leveraging, for example, Unstable to move forward with the op and lock down an area with a breach flash to continue to push forward, then at least I feel you have to do something there with Lazy Lion, Katarina, and Misu all together for those three. There's been so many good lower B-side pushes with that type of trio play.
Yeah.
But being more reactive on that, you saw how much space was gained rather by EG and how quickly they overtook that B site. You can't let them do that, especially when you have an op that's so hard to rotate with on this map.
Yeah, it's the concept here of the proactiveness that we need to see for DSG in this defense.
Yeah.
And EG was doing it to them on the defense pretty much every single round, right? Looking for that space, trying to take that space in the north bar, trying to pinch for a couple rounds.
And as I say that, it was read here by EG. Yes, hold the aggression, push, or rather push the aggression for DSG, and it works out. But EG decided to hold a default of 5 players all the way towards the north side. Thankfully, you still managed to get out of there unscathed for DSG. And you're keeping EG, you keep that timer low. You're starting to get that timer low. And you're forcing the hand onto EG now.
And on these pressure situations, the lockdown is going to come through for the A side. Everybody, like you said, north part of the map still is a side that belongs to them.
Hannah's just trying anything, trying to spot something, and the moment that they move or unscope from the ADS gets picked off as they move forward towards the balcony. But thankfully, the off rings true for Unstable. Orbital strike then comes down, and there's 23 seconds left on the clock. Another off kill by Unstable, back into sight. A fourth one! It all comes down to an ace. A chance for DSG to get the momentum back, but Pyrapixel holds just for a bit until Misu comes in, and DSG gets 6 on the board.
Unstable saves the round with 4 kills into it. One by one, position right behind, pushing forward. And getting one after the other with the operator. This is something that we talked about, right? The pressure here for these guys, how it was going to look like on the defense. And as the time was running out, it ends up playing out to their strengths. But how many of those rounds can we see from them? How many of those opportunities can they bring to continue closing out these rounds against EG? 3 players now in the soft part here for EG, and Cypher Yuto. Unstable looking for more to Killjoy.
Stephanie's in a tough spot. Even potentially one to bait. There's that first shot, and there's a trade. That's perfect. Good enough here for a solo anchor hold on the B side with the operator. Now we're going to try to pivot back. First off, creating some ruckus, creating some noise, or EG. And looking for the contact play. Now a flash around the corner. Nice shot by Katarina. Almost lines up the second kill. For Orbital strike on the defense. That's a spike down and a push in from DSG. The flank from behind is not good enough for DSG to watch for it, as Kinsey's now at a disadvantage. 2 versus 1. Flash delays out from Lazy Lion. Now spike picked up. Walking back here towards the spawn. And that's where the ARP is. The door opens. And Unstable saves Lazy Lion, as Lazy Lion was just greeted by the open doors of Kinsey. And DSG is looking slowly but surely for some strongholds with this operator.
Yeah, looking great. This operator ever since we started to see it on the rounds. There's been 1, 2, multiple kills. The multi-kills coming through for Unstable. As we saw in the first couple days for DSG, Unstable not only showing the flexibility, but the capabilities with this operator, what the reasoning is to letting Unstable play on this Jet, Katarina on this Raze instead. And it's been working out.
Yeah.
Lays a line for a couple more rounds, and now finally making that buy uncomfortable for EG, but it's still doable for them. Still having to give that respect to the attacking side with the Rolling Thunder.
Correct. There's that first hope as a DSG team that they've broken the economy for EG. But now this is exactly that. The tap that you have on the orb. Slowly but surely, EG is going to get these ults ready as well. On top of the economy, on top of good weapons. And for now, with this half-life that they currently have, a 4 versus 4, Paint Shells misses, unfortunately. Showstopper out, and the Showstopper lands at the feet of Thea. Rolling Thunder also came out here on the attempt to hold the opponents back on the post plan. That's Power Pixel loading it out. Now with the Cypher out from Hannah, though, all 3 players now spotted from EG on the post plan in this B site. Stephanie, nice shot onto Katarina. Nanoswarm on the ground, delays from the Nanoswarm, delays from the Molly. Fault line then coming out, forcing Sholiana to peek out towards Long B. It is at halfway, and it is full defused.
We see another one of these today, man. We had to see another one of these. DSG holding onto it and holding onto this map for as long as they can. 3 rounds now in a row. And it really feel like what opened up the fight for them, what opened up the possibilities into it, it was that Katarina Showstopper. When things were looking difficult, you see Unstable going down, something that we haven't seen in the past couple of rounds. Gets taken down first, needs that extra support, and that's when Katarina is able to step up, get that Showstopper, and enable that retake to take place for DSG.
And that's the thing. Hannah talked about it in their winner's interview just previously against FlyQuest. Feeling the momentum. We'll talk about it in a bit, though. Looks like EG wants to try to push us a little bit more quickly with the Seekers coming out. And first contact comes in favor of DSG. A re-swing out somehow from Katarina. Lands it onto Thea. Still the advantage comes out for DSG. To rotate across, but EG slows down.
Katarina was looking for that opportunity for a while. A player that, when you give her just a couple of those early kills, she's absolutely going to look for more, and a lot of those times find success. Gets 2 before getting taken down. But that forces this EG side to slow things down compared to what we saw early on. Lockdown still available to close it out.
Annoying camera actually doesn't even get broken. So an opportunity to use that camera on the post plan too. And you're happy with this because now the element of surprise trying to walk for contact. It's been spotted, so you have to use the lockdown to try to create the space, which means less utility for the post plan. And this will be good here for DSG with the utility that they still have.
It's great. It slowed them down. It creates a space for the spike to be planted, but still a 3v4. The retake with the operator, the Bulldog as well actually finds an opening.
Yeah, the flash was not good enough there for Stephanie to get a pick. Not effective were the players rolling back here from Sands. Now the door opens and Lazy Line gets another pick with the Bulldog, and that's a clean retake. A super clean retake by DSG. And this is where we get the opportunity to talk about this here, Dandriad, is that off the interview that we had from Hannah, they were still running off a high, off a superb series against FlyQuest. And now you have an opportunity to get a defuse that wasn't supposed to be a defuse, some picks that's coming out from a 4K, out from Unstable. They're definitely a team that runs off momentum. And EG, they've given them all that momentum now for the comeback.
Seeing the first couple rounds for DSG when they were not finding that success, it is not the same as the DSG that we're seeing right now, right? Like you said, the momentum really benefiting it in the ways that they're going for the swings. I mean, the Katarina swing towards A, we haven't seen that has been actually holding back, giving even more space for EG, but now they're fighting for it, and Unstable was a big part of it with that operator, with the 4K, and with the defuse, with that round of the defuse that has kept them in the game. But it's still backs against the wall on this map. So the job is not done just yet for Disguise, as the players are slowly stepping up. Getting that reading to EG.
And now we talked about ultimates being ready, rifles being ready, an opportunity for EG to close that off. And DSG did a great job to actually get over that obstacle as well. So EG back on a broken buy and still have to cycle more ultimates later on with DSG's comeback. So DSG a moment here, potentially to be able to put a 10th on this map of Fracture. It starts off with the EG, starting to hesitate a little bit more. Playing a split across the maps, or at least on the top and lower side of the map, but not really engaging anywhere early. Still trying to find out where Unstable is with this operator.
That's going to be the key, but it's not going to be so easy to spot early on. Unstable actually pushing from Dish. Trying to find anybody up close in that area. It might be some contact from Teensy on the other side, though. Is once again a slow down play. I'm trying to spot where this jet is going to be located. Even then, there's some tools here for DSG to work around. Cypher up close, going to be the first one to deal with. The hit comes towards the B side.
Oh, hiding inside the cage. Hannah looking for a surprise. Here's a lot of footsteps coming through. And as the shots are ringing across, the timing now on the reloads. 2 kills down. Looking for the third, but at least it gets planted. A save for the flash. Kenzie with 2 kills as well with the stinger. Up to Unstable, trying to move forward with this operator. No weapons have been picked up yet, though, for EG on the post plan. An opportunity for the retake. Full utility as well for Lazy Lion. Katarina walking up. Close range once again, head-to-head against Kinsey. The fault line first, the full hit, and there's that kill. Great assist by Lazy Lion. Onto 2 more players, make that only 1. Power Pixel with an aftershock. There's the fault line first to delay. There's the aftershock after, but it's halfway. Now tap it onto the spike. The shot coming in. It lands on Lazy Lion. But the defuse still comes in for Katarina no matter what. And we're 2 rounds of tying things up for DSG.
You're the best.
Just in time. DSG, they're able to hold on to this. Once again, securing those double digits. Hannah inside of that cage. Massive play too. Something that she hasn't done before. And in these scenarios for DSG to make this comeback, that's when you start to see these kind of ideas. Hannah, it goes down. Her position towards dies and manages to get 2, allows this round to be doable. And it was a light buy though for EG.
Yeah.
This one's a lot stronger. Unstable going right in.
So they've strung so many rounds available for DSG, so losing a couple weapons doesn't matter, but losing a weapon now is big. The first time that we're looking for pressure down towards the tree. Looking down the top of the smoke. It was waited by EG on the other end. And they take an early advantage.
The post plan here can potentially look so strong for EG. They take down Unstable. They have a showstopper, a Norvero strike as well. The showstopper is just going to be the entry here, trying to create that space, make sure that nobody's going to be on this A site.
A little bit of splash damage from the showstopper too. But a Rolling Thunder is going to be a key piece right now. It looks like it's going to be moved towards this A site. Sholiana fully stunned. Still gets the hit onto Katarina. Spike now just has been planted. Big flash across. Kill from Misu. 2 smokes still available. Rolling Thunder back into the site. The smokes are actually not being used, so an opportunity to get a kill from the drop. Counter flash coming out from Power Pixel too. And there's Stephanie with the before last kill rather. And it's up to Hannah. Unfortunately there. Now with no smokes towards drop, too difficult for her to get the clutch in. EG finally closed it out on the first map, 13-10.
EG taking that lead on the map number 1 and looking great on Fracture, their opponent's pick. going back and forth. At some point, it was 10-4 that we saw, and DSG that slowly started to play out more, gave us more, but it was not enough for the full comeback. A little bit of another fake comeback, fans.
Yeah, but at least we actually did see some great shots coming out from Unstable right now, and mind you, this wasn't really, you know, their I guess play style as you see how they played here against EG on that first map. But the warm-ups there, turn the page around, and hopefully you can bring it back here on that second map. It's going to be on a set, though, and it's going to be very difficult because EG also very good on that map. We're going to be only going to be able to see that once we get back from the break.
Yeah, if I were to change my alias, which is something I've been thinking about, I used to be Requiem, which, you know, musical term, like name is Aria. So my IGN and my real life name right now are the same, just Aria. But I used to be Requiem in game, and I'm considering a switch back just because I think it sounds pretty cool. But yeah, if I had to switch it, it'd be Requiem.
Okay, if I had to change my alias to anything, I mean, I've changed it a couple of times, honestly, but this one's definitely gonna stick. If I had to change it to anything, I kind of like when people do like those silly like troll names, so I'd probably change it to something funny to like XX, like Chicken Alfredo, I don't know, something stupid if I had to change it again.
It'd either be like some kind of flower, or it would be else, because one of my old teammates, their name was Who, so it would be Who Else.
So I've had this alias for a very long time. I have only ever had my alias changed once, and it was because my friends were bullying me into it. And they made it just keep gaming, and it was very cringe, and I was like 16.
I have already done that. I used to go by C, and I switched it to Millie like a couple months ago, just on a whim. I don't think I would change it again.
If I changed my alias, I think it'd have to be like Goddess Empress Supreme Nora. I'm the jerk, of course.